Hello everybody, this is Codan50, and I want to apologize for the kind of raw nature of the video. I just wanted to throw a video together really quickly, kind of as an excuse for me to not be working on Half-Shock at this immediate moment. I've been doing quite a bit of work on it over the course of the last couple of weeks, so I wanted to kind of give a quick outline of what I've done and what I've currently got. I've got the Steam version of Half-Shock uploaded on my website, and I'm going to link it for you below. The reason why I've got the Steam version and not the non-Steam version is because the non-Steam version plays music, and I need to re-record science level music. So I'm going to go ahead and do that hopefully today, because I plan for a Christmas release, and I don't know how much work is going to take to get the source version up. And I'll cover the source version in just a brief moment, but I'm going to go ahead and try to cover... Actually, let me cover the Steam version, since the only difference between the two is that the Steam version has no level music, and it'll actually be a lot easier because then it won't have to worry about an awkward audio level. So let me go ahead and load this up real quick. That's probably going to be a little bit loud. I'm going to drop the video down here a little bit. That should be good right here. So I've got the reason why I've actually got the new game, which will get you right into the game and start going, but I've also got the training. And the reason I've got the training level is because I've mapped all of the controls out to original System Shock 1, so it's not a WASD control. S will move you forward, X moves you backwards, Z moves you left, C moves you right, A turns you left, D turns you right, and there's a whole bunch of stuff that's not implemented yet. I'm actually still somewhat fresh on these controls. R will look up, V will look down, spacebar will still jump, control will crouch. I don't remember if System Shock's control works the same way. I put it on here because I think it does. I'm probably not accurate on it, but because System Shock has the multiple function display, when you push the 4 key, it turns on your flashlight, which you can't tell because I'm in the brightest possible spot on the planet to try to use that, or, you know, in the grove. So if you push number 4, it'll turn your flashlight on, and if you push number 8, it'll bring up the PDA interface. So I've kind of got some text out. I've got the energy recharge station here. I've got it set so you can get up to, I believe, 100,000 points of electricity, since I can't make it unlimited. I've also got, sorry, I'll stop twitching around as much. I've also got it set up so that way it's, I want to do it quick charge, but I don't know how to. So if anybody knows how to make a quick charge, let me know. I don't remember what I was going to say, something, but the computer node, the computer node looks like crap, I know. It doesn't look like it does in System Shock, it's slightly off. I'm going to try to find a way to import the models, and that should fix all of the problems since the models don't have to be calibrated. They're already, again, I'll stop doing that. They're already set up to work the way they need to. But here's another way that System Shock's controls are different from most others, in that your left click will not attack. The left click will use objects. I don't think I can show you out here because I don't have anything out here that will. It's right click that will attack. And Half-Life 1 has this weird issue where if the crowbar misses, it's supposed to play the miss sound, but if the crowbar hits, it plays the hit sound. But hit and miss both play at the same time, so there's no miss sound. Otherwise, you have miss and hit at the same time, and it's terrible. It's terrible. Cyberspace is not available at this time. I'm working out how I'm going to do it, but I don't know yet. And there I just left click, and it shows you that left click does stuff. Again, I don't know how I'm going to implement it yet, but I'm going to figure it out in due time. So surgery beds have the same rules. You have like 100,000 points of health that you can recover, but it is slowly recovering instead of instantaneous like I wanted it to be. Cameras can be destroyed. Eventually. They can be destroyed. They don't affect level security yet, but I'm figuring out a way to do that as well. And I've also got crates that you can destroy. System Shock kind of has, I think some crates might be random in what you can get into them, but I think it might just be corpses that are random and crates are absolute, but there's no way to have multiple items in a crate. If anybody knows how to put multiple items in a crate, feel free to go ahead and let me know. So the training level is really just a way to help get you familiar with the controls of System Shock. And if you've played System Shock Control, then you're probably already familiar with it. The only real difference is that I'm using mouse look mod variant, so you can use the mouse look, and if you use mouse look, then this will play exactly the same way, because I don't know how to turn mouse look off, but I know it's possible because the PDA interface gives you a mouse. It'll be interesting to see if this can be abused a little bit more to resemble System Shock better, but that takes care of that. I want to show you the actual levels though, the actual in-game stuff. So again, there's a few other adjustments that need to be made to how you're handling like the PDA interface that I'd like to try to implement in later versions. For right now, I'm not going to worry about it since there's no way that I can really control certain things. But I do have all of the logs as well as the emails, and I'm going to show you that really quick. I'm not going to click on any of the email logs with audio because it's really loud, and I believe this version of HiCam will record audio from the game. And I'm wearing headphones right now, and I don't want to break my eardrums. But as you could tell, email came on here, and since I also picked up a disk, there's also a log file. And since this one doesn't have audio, I'll show you this one. So I've got the icon. I'm going to try to see if I can get the second icon that a couple of them show, since they show like a second icon in the second MFT window, and I'm going to see if I can do that. But this outlines all of the details. I haven't decided yet if I'm going to grammar check the logs. For the sake of how they show in System Shock, I might just remove like double spaces and odd pauses, that kind of thing, where they're not supposed to be. And I'm going to have it just so that way it resembles exactly as it does in System Shock. But then that means I have to go through each and every single log because it kind of skews up the, what's the word I was looking for? Are you sparking? You're not supposed to spark. I don't have you set to spark. Well, obviously I do have you set to spark. I'm going to have to go through all of the logs on System Shock to make sure that they're all accurate. I'm not going to do that now. It's a little bit excessive. I've got some of the sound effects working. Not all of them. I've got quite a bit of extra work I need to do. The other problem, too, is obviously this is supposed to be a panel. You click it, a thing comes up, you solve the puzzle, and then it turns this on. GoldSrc is a bit limited in how it's going to handle this, so right now I've got that, which allows it to enable it, and then the switch that does too. For some reason, this actually takes a while to come back up, and I don't understand why. It's kind of weird. Let's see if I can get it to come back up here. A little bit of a delay, a little bit of a pause, and I'll solve it later, but I think it's happened to all the doors, so I don't think it's just necessarily that one. I'll grab that because I like to torture my ears a little bit more. I've also started working out things, like I've got the beaker set there. Grab that one too. And just, these are actually sideways in System Shock. I wanted to keep it as genuine as possible. And when I'm done recreating the System Shock experience, because I plan to do everything as much as I possibly can, and I will be working on it later on. But once I get it set up, I am going to realign a couple of textures that are just off. Just noticeably different. Oh, spoiler alert, I don't have any of the like secret alcoves hidden at all. There's supposed to be a door here, so it's you notice it's there, but then you don't because it's the same texture as these with the exception of a blue ring around it. And the help file points right at it and says, here's the secret door, double click to open the door. Except for we don't double click, we just single click because we're cool like that. I've also got, besides more sound effects that are hurting my eardrum, I've also got more stuff working in here. I've got a switch, for example, which will turn the lights on or off. I've also got the paper thin effect with the grading. So this right here is using a paper thin appearance of a poly, even though it's not actually paper thin. It's thick enough to not create a Hall of Mirror effect, because before when you use a paper thin poly, it Hall of Mirror and it's all kinds of ugly. GoldSrc doesn't have a very good animated texture, like cycling through them, so I don't have any of the textures like animating at all. I don't think I do. And it's kind of unfortunate because I think it could work out in some cases, but some cases it can't. So I haven't decided how I'm going to fix it yet. I might just leave it as is because the Source Engine is really going to fix a lot of that. And of course I don't have Cyberspace Online, and apparently I don't have this one working at all. There we go. I don't know why it wasn't coming up on the first click. I had to click it like 6 times. Again, I don't have cyberspace implemented. I don't know how I'm going to implement it. I will figure it out in due time. So I'm trying to recall if there's any other crucially important. Source engine properly handles lifts, and I'll show you that in a moment, but I'm also going to show you how the GoldSrc engine handles it. There's actually a like a repeat trigger right here and right here, or up there, and and I'm trying to set it up in such a way where it almost gives the idea that as soon as you touch it, it triggers it, but then if you're standing on it, it's still, you know, it at least resembles as it does in System Shock. And I've also got levers working too. I don't know how I'm going to do the System Shock where, like, whenever you've got a platform lifting up or moving down, it goes one block at a time as opposed to just being smooth. I have an idea, but that's just going to have to wait a little bit. Cool thing is the Source engine, of course, being far more superior, handles it, and I'll show you that later. The repulsion lift, I had to drop the gravity down in order to make the repulsion lifts in the the GoldSrc engine for Half-Life. And it does its job. I don't really like it because it's obviously like this spot right here. There's a control panel right there, the little thing that you have to solve in order to open a door. And there's also supposed to be a button that turns this off. There's no way to turn it off. And this is definitely going to come into a problem a little bit later on in, I believe, storage level is the only one where it has these like up on the walls. So I'm going to have to find a way to do that, and I don't know if I'm going to or if it's just going to have to fall apart. Also, I don't have the sound effects in yet. The weird thing about, because I'm using a door function to do this, this is not actually a lift, it's a door, because there's no lift that I know of. And when the door's completed its movement, the sound effect stops. And so I have to get it timed out, but I think I have the sound effects actually in the pack file, so it's there, I just need to do it. So I've also got it kind of working together, the buttons and the lifts together simultaneously. And I could have sworn I had the broken... No, I don't. I haven't uploaded. Alright, so that's pretty much outlining what I've got on here. There's really nothing else I need to show. I don't have any of the environmental areas like the radiation in here, or the radiation... Oh, I have 2 logs. Or the radiation in the room back there behind the wall, up around the corner. I don't have that in yet either because it's not working the way I want it to, so I'm going to hold off on that until I can get it. I don't even think I can do it right on the Source engine. I haven't tried to do it yet. The only one that I've got just kind of hurts you instantaneously. And finally, the only other thing that the GoldSrc version, the Half-Life 1 version, has is properly working elevators. Obviously, I don't have a panel that comes up, so what you have to do is you have to click on either the up or the down. So since we're on the first level, this elevator cannot take you to reactor, so if you hit the down button, it comes up telling you that there's shaft damage. So if you click on up, it takes you immediately up. The non-Source version is a little bit more fluid about it instead of having that pop-up, but the problem is you can actually click the button while being inside the wall, and it'll take you back down to medical level, and you'll be stuck in a wall. So Source engine, again, can fix it because condition checking and all that cool stuff. I've also got science level completely done and mapped. Well, at least the first draft of it. I'm still rebuilding it, and you probably won't notice any visual differences, but there's some substantial internal differences that I'm making to simplify it for myself. I've also got one of the force bridges here that I'm still kind of ironing out some details on. Works exactly like it does in the normal System Shock minus the sound, and yeah, it has to go out and come back in because I can't just make it vanish instantaneously. If anybody knows how to do that, feel free to let me know, and if I can get it to work, I will credit you for letting me know how it works. And I think the only other thing that I've got in here of any semblance of interest is this is actually the first level where I used a spotlight, because back here there's supposed to be a screen for this little viewing area, and so this is actually going to be the light radiating off of the screen. And I can't see, so I should go backwards instead of forwards. But I've got the... It's over here. I've got the switch that... No, it's not. It's on the other side. How am I completely backwards? I built this, for crying out loud. Ay, 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 ay. Let's try this. So over here, I've got the circuit breaker. I don't have the kind of control over the lighting to make the lighting work when you're supposed to be able to flip it. but you flip it once and it doesn't flip back down. That's how it is in System Shock. So once you flip it, then you come back out. I think the reason I thought it was on the left is because it's on the left from that one. All the lights are turned on, and you can go through everything. I've still got a teeny bit of work I want to do on the lighting to make it a little bit better, but I don't think it's bad. It does its job. All of this is dark except for in here. I need to hang some chandeliers because there's light sources in here. They're supposed to be off the chandeliers that are hanging. That's about as far as I've gotten, and you're actually seeing the one that you'll be able to play, so all of this is stuff that you'll be able to enjoy yourself. Other than that, again, the non-Steam version is not much different than that, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the source version. And while I'm here, I'm also going to go over a few other quick updates. This version of HiCam does not record game sounds, so I'm only really going to be able to kind of outline some details, but I won't be able to go too much into depth as far as anything sound related. So let me go ahead and get this brought up here for us. And then once we get into it, I've got the intro stuff in. I need to find a way to set it up so that way only if there is a saved game or not a saved game does the intro screen come up. I don't know, I'm going to do that. But I have the console up for this for a reason, and I'm going to show you what that is. Actually, do I have... Probably. I'm going to go ahead and get into it. I've got the same thing test gamma level in here somewhere. I don't have it linked yet. But there's not much different about the source version compared to the Steam version as far as level layout. I took the same geometry, I copied it, I pasted it, made a few slight changes to the texture names to make them all work. So, the decals, I'll start off with that since it's right here. The decal is not very good way to handle the decals. I'm thinking about putting the decals right into the texture, because if you notice here, not only can you kind of notice the edges of the decal, but if you look closely enough, it's different from the way it looks from the rest of the background. It's just because the decals are a 1:1 scale, so I had to blow this up to be a huge file, a huge picture in order to make that work. So I'm thinking about just baking it right into the same textures, which will be a little extra work, but it'll be worth it in the long run, I think. Also, I believe this version, yes it does. I have a problem with the rotating doors for some reason. They don't seem to be working right, so you'll be walking around the level minding your own business, and the next thing you know you get clocked in the back of the head by a rotating camera. On this current build that I've got, I don't have them taken off, but I have already removed all the rotating doors and I'm working on fixing those. So I'm just going to show you the important stuff here with the source engine. The first one is the lifts. The lifts I'm working on making them proper, and I think I've just about got it. So if you walk up to your panel here and you solve the panel, it'll enable the lift. So as soon as you walk onto the lift, it'll then push it down. I don't have a sound effect on the buttons yet. For some reason they've been acting weird, but I do have the sound effect for the lifts. And so as soon as you walk off and you walk back on, the lift will go back up. And as long as you're standing on the lift, it won't go anywhere. But as soon as you walk off, walk back on, the lift will go back down. And I've also got it working properly with buttons too. So, and plus this doesn't go back because once you solve the wire panel, it's not supposed to. So that's implemented. That's working. I might need to make a few slight tweaks to fix it off. The other thing I want to show you as well is I've also got most of the animated textures or the textures with blinking lights and such working. As you can tell, I've got a few of them that aren't working, and I have no idea why. I thought I had this one fixed, but it'll be fixed hopefully before I release the source version. But I've also got other actual ones like this one, for example, working properly. And so, again, the texture is sideways on because I copied the same geometry, and I'm going to fix it later, whatever. So, the other thing, too, is this is, of course, easy enough, but I do need to fix the textures a little bit because they're a little off. I've got a lot of the screens in. I wouldn't say most, definitely not all, but I've got a lot of the screens in. I need to uncompress these textures, too, because compression artifacts make it do weird stuff. And plus, if you look at it, you'll also notice that you don't have... Oh, I don't have the sound loop. That's weird. You'll also notice that you don't have, like, the random blinking colors that are supposed to come in on the screens too, and that's just going to be a lot of extra work, but I'm going to do it eventually. So here's another lift. This one does the same thing as before. Obviously, you don't have to turn it on. It's already on. And then this one will toggle it up or down if needed. I'm still not entirely certain how I'm going to handle going up one block at a time, but I'll figure that out in due time. Now, I was going to say, I hope you're not broken too. Repulsion lifts. Again, the repulsion lifts are a unique story because these repulsion lifts are actually almost properly done. You step on it, it pushes you upwards. The weird part, though, is, here, let me do that again. I fell on the camera. I need to make those pass-throughable. The weird thing is if you step on the repulsion lift and it throws you up into the air, the momentum actually pushes you back down towards the ground, and I'm not entirely certain why, because that's not supposed to happen, but it does. If you stand on something and then you walk into it, you're properly stabilized. I need to find a way to calibrate it slightly better. There is a bug that I need to figure out how, and this is more of an engine limitation as opposed to, I guess needless to say, the actual repulsion lift. If you hit the duck button, you'll go all the way down to the very bottom. And I know why it's doing that. For the same reason that if you jump on it and you're bouncing up and down, it's because when you duck, you have less size, and so you start falling, and it's kind of ugly. What I do like, though, is if you fall from the top of a repulsion lift, from the very top, and you fall down, you'll actually take damage. So I like that it's a little bit more realistic to real life, but I still need to change it because technically it's not System Shock and it's technically wrong. So I've got this lift, I got that repulsion. I don't have any of the ladders working yet, which is ironic because they should be the easiest part. But the ladders feel too on-railish-y to really be flexible, and I don't like it. I want to find a way to fix it. So in case you didn't see it before, I don't recall if you did, I've also got font working. I took the original font bitmaps from the game and I turned it into a true type font, so if you want to put it in, you know, Word document or whatever, you can have fun with it. I don't really care. Because technically, even though I built it, it's still more of a looking glass permission thing, since they're the ones that actually designed it, I believe. I would like to say that's true. There's not much more I could really show you outside of all of the animated textures that are here. As you can tell, the map is full bright. The reason for that is because I tried copying the lights out of the Half-Life 1 and throw it right into Half-Life 2, and that created all sorts of bad stuff. A lot of like really brightly lit areas with a really lot of dark areas because shadows and bouncing light don't seem to work right. Or I don't know about shadows, but like for example, if there was a light source right here, the light would go over here. You would see the trail of light going off the walls, but then it would be pitch black right here because the light doesn't bounce right. I tried using different bounce settings. I've tried all kinds of stuff and I can't get it to work. So what I'm going to have to do is completely redo lighting for the source version, completely redo the lighting from the ground up, which means I'm going to have to learn the rules and all of that to make that work. So I've got a few concept stuff I'm working on that I haven't got up yet. I think I've got most of the cuts out where the switches, the screens, and all that are supposed to be. I've plugged a bunch of them that are not currently here, that are not currently being used. So other than that, there's not much more as far as actually completed stuff for the source release yet. I've still got a lot of stuff I'm concepting on right now to see if I can fix it. So let me go ahead and see if I've got science on here. No, I don't. Okay. Which is fine. You've already seen it. That just means I have to build it and stick it in there and add a point start. So that's pretty much it. Those are all the updates for Half-Shock. I'm gonna put a link to the download for the Steam version, and hopefully I'll be able to follow up with the non-Steam version and then the source version shortly. So thanks for watching, and I hope you have a Merry Christmas. If you find that offensive, I hope you have a Happy New Year. If you find that offensive, I'll just say I hope you have Happy Holidays, and if you find that offensive, bite me.